perfect. Ambassador to Thai is okay? Turkey. Sefi Buragal Thai, it's a pleasure to see you again. Ambassador Jam Yun-Soo from Korean Republic. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Welcome.
You arrived in time, my dear ambassador, mi querida embajadora Lila Rochbach. En este momento me tocaba mencionarte.
Qué suerte.
Mira qué coordinación que tenemos.
Es que
Como siempre, el CARI está a tus pies. But it's very important for us that to host this non-institutional group, but very important because to share values and challenge. And you are, we were talking before, not only members of the United Nations, but also of the G20. And I believe it was the first occasion that you have a meeting in the middle of the G20 in occasion is Bali, no?
No sé,
Pasó.
el micrófono.
Que siempre, mi mujer me dice que hablo demasiado alto, es la primera vez que me... Toda segunda vez que me critican por hablar bajo.
Yo soy su alumno, no soy su mujer.
Ambassador, congratulations for the organization of the G20 was really very important, and our recognition because you were protecting the health of our President Fernandez. Thank you for both. Congratulations and our recognition. In this time of uncertainty, the problems of the multilateralism, that the values that we share also. It is very important, this kind of non-institutional to pave the agreements in the institution. For the reason we recognize as CARI the importance of this kind of meeting. Lila Roldan Vázquez will have the ambassador. Lila Roldan Vázquez will have the responsibility of the management of the conversation today. Before the meeting, I will ask to our director of the Air Force and International Relations, our friend Rosendo Fraga, Dr. Rosendo Fraga, to say the first words. Also, I recognize the members of the different committees that are today from CARI that are here today with the different ambassadors that they have the responsibility to have the activity with them. Rosendo, please.
Thank you, President. Very brief. The CARI began its first meeting about MICTA 2014, 8 years ago. It was the first time that the CARI began with this kind of meetings. In the meeting, the 5 ambassadors of Mexico, Indonesia, Australia, Turkey, and South Korea were in second meeting 2018. The same in this opportunity. But after that, we did a seminar sobre Argentina and the MICTA, foreign policy, trade, technology. From my point of view, and the CARI is very important. The MICTA is a very important reference. In what? The question is not the amount of the country, right? The amount of the importance of the country. For Argentina, Mexico, Indonesia, Turkey, Australia, South Korea are, in my opinion, successful experiences in the forefront. Different, but it is interesting. The G20 was the opportunity to create meeting. So we discussed into the CARI why Argentina is not in the MICTA. Well, there is a lot of hypotheses about why. I always personally, I don't that Argentina it's convenient for Argentina to be member of the MICTA, but it's a personal opinion. Our foreign policy was not easy to assume this problem, but it's very important to continue for us to continue working with the MICTA. Only that. Our friend, the ambassador of Turkey, talking with him, we decided to do a new meeting this year. Turkey have the presidents of the group this year, no? And this year, the G20 summit is finishing exactly. It's a good opportunity to learn of this, of the ambassador that I hear. The ambassador of Turkey to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Mr. Fraga, for your kind words. It's always a great pleasure to be here. I don't know if you want to say some
just maybe
opening remarks before, since you will be the moderator,
yes, maybe
Sure.
just a word to
Sure.
for everybody to know this year's presidency is in the hand of Turkey government. So we asked Ambassador Murat Altay to make a presentation of MICTA in German. And then the ambassadors start with us and part of MICTA, Australia, South Korea, Indonesia, and Mexico are going to have 10 minutes each or deemed necessary. And that will be our session today. So, Ambassador Murat, please.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
want
much.
to say only that obviously you work with them, but is present our vice president
Of course.
Francisco
Thank you as
Santibáñez
well, President.
and our general secretary Ricardo Lagorio, Ambassador Lagorio, and the undersecretary of the Minister of Economy, but at the same time, one of the most important values of our executive committee at CARI, no? Laura Ramon, thank you, all of them, and the rest of the members of the committee and all the people that are today here. It's a committee. Yes, I know, no. Thank you, the people that is looking us in this moment, and they will share this friendly and frank conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we should salute them as well.
New system we
Okay,
implement.
very good. So we can find out how many followers
We are
are following.
integrating this system.
Very good, very good. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words of welcome, Mr. Fraga. It's always a pleasure for me and for my colleagues to be present here at CARI, the most prominent think tank in Latin America. This is how we see and define CARI. And of course, our thanks go to you, Mr. President, for your invitation, to the Vice President, to Mr. Fraga, to the Secretary General Ricardo, and to Carlos, and to all the other participants who are here today. We appreciate your existence, your presence today. And I think this meeting is quite timely now, following the G20 summit that took place in Bali quite recently. It is a great pleasure for me and for my colleagues to give some detailed information about what MICTA is, what we try to achieve, in the years to come. So therefore, in order to make life easier for all of us, with your permission, I will start off with a presentation that will, be very teaching, all of us, including ourselves, because we are also in the learning process, regarding the details of this important initiative. So thank you very much once again for this opportunity. So the title of my presentation is "Sui Generis Consultation and Collaboration Mechanism in Multilateral Fora." I will elaborate on the title, of course, of my presentation and tell you why it's quite relevant nowadays. Because this sui generis character of MICTA derives from its flexible structure, and that it constitutes a kind of exemplary model of collaboration and, consultation in order to play a constructive role in the international agenda. So this is the main purpose of our group. All of us, all the MICTA members, are of course fostering multilateralism. This is an important point to underline. That's why, as a group, we strongly support the international rule-based system and order through institutions like UN, WTO, OECD, just to name a few of them. So MICTA was originally created and built to help to construct bridges towards solutions to some of the most urgent problems that affect us all around the globe. So that was the main idea behind it. And MICTA member countries, of course, all of us have been and still are active contributors to major international forums. And this in return has enabled us to exert greater influence in global governance by dwelling upon the most pressing challenges of the globe, as well as further our bilateral relations between each other. So next slide is already. No, can we go back, please? Second slide. Presentation outline. Yeah, this is the order in which I will try to make this presentation. 7 headlines and 12 slides. So I will ask for some patience from all of you. So we said, what is MICTA? Next slide, please. MICTA is a cross-regional consultative platform aimed at increasing mutual understanding, deepening bilateral ties, finding common ground for cooperation between the 5 member countries, namely Mexico, Indonesia, Republic of Korea, Turkey, and Australia. MICTA, first letters of our country names. The first, the idea of MICTA was first discussed in a meeting in Mexico that took place in Los Cabos back in 2012 during the G20 foreign ministers meeting. So it's been almost 10 years since then. And following this first talk about MICTA, we established it during the first ever MICTA foreign ministers meeting that was held in New York on the 25th September 2013 during the 68th UN General Assembly high-level week. And of course, what motivated the idea of MICTA was the fact that all members are important players and constructive powers in their own region. And we wished to have a greater and stronger voice by bringing our voices together. So that was the main idea. MICTA has been very useful in terms of providing a flexible and informal platform where members discuss a wide variety of issues related to global affairs, as well as the intra-MICTA cooperation, as seen on the slide. MICTA has made great progress, of course, during the last 9-10 years. And this progress was towards further strengthening the ties between our member countries as well. Next slide. Subgroups within G20. Here, in order to understand, of course, where MICTA stands within the G20, we have prepared this diagram that shows the subgroups within the border system of Group of 20. So we have MICTA, G7, BRICS, and then Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Of course, these groups share common characteristics in terms of their structure and organizational capacities. And MICTA is relatively young platform compared to the other ones like G7 and BRICS, which were founded back in 1975, G7 and MICTA 2006. So they are respectively a young subgroup. Of course, as we all know, it is important to underline that G7 was originally created as G8, but including Russia, but following the illegal annexation of Crimea, Russia has been excluded from this subgrouping. So they meet in the form of G7 nowadays. These subgroups do not have any secretariats with an established headquarters. Rather, the secretarial and executive work is run by the country that holds the chairmanship. So I will give you a more detailed information on this chairmanship issue when we come to the relevant slide. But at this point, there is one thing that I would like to underline, because it's important to highlight that MICTA, our group, did not appear as a reaction or challenge to G20. So this we should keep in mind. On the contrary, we want to act like a bridge to overcome any polarization that might occur between G7 and the BRICS. Next slide. MICTA members' approach to global order. So MICTA members are diverse in terms of geography, as it can be seen from the map. They are located in different parts of the world, but they all share core values, of course. They also are quite different in terms of culture and religion. But the core values are there. They're all vibrant democracies, and they follow pro-trade policies. All of us follow them. They are all strategically located in their own regions, as you can see, and closely related, connected to their own regions, of course. So therefore, in my opinion, we can call them as regional powers in their own respective regions. MICTA accounts for a combined population of 540 million people, 540, and a gross domestic product of almost $6 trillion in total, and a global trade of $1.5 trillion. So the amounts are quite big. So now that unprecedented global issues are emerging, as we all know, like problems, areas like in finance and economics, climate change, security, so there as well, and international peace. Now that the balance of power is changing, shifting, now that non-state actors have become more active during the last period, challenging occasionally the traditional role of governments in different parts of the world. MICTA therefore has become a force for good in terms of facilitating right and creative answers to different global challenges and problems that we are faced with. No matter how far we are from each other geographically, we of course demonstrate that we are like-minded countries when it comes to responding to these global challenges in different areas. This platform provides MICTA countries with a real potential to contribute to a more effective global governance and to the necessary reforms in global structures. This is a goal for all of us. Next slide. Main goals and priorities of MICTA. As you can see from this slide, MICTA has 7 priorities that were acknowledged at the level of foreign ministers during Australia's 2016 MICTA chairmanship. Traditionally, each chair country puts a special focus on 3 of these core MICTA priorities during its presidency. MICTA chair's agenda is quite dynamic and addresses the current needs of the globe. In that sense, global health has been a primary issue for MICTA discussions since the outbreak of COVID-19. And MICTA's, of course, agility to tackle with crisis is noteworthy. For instance, due to the dire humanitarian need in Ukraine following the war that is still going on, unfortunately. And during our chairmanship, disaster and emergency management presidency of Turkey, AFAD, conducted a humanitarian aid program in Ukraine in Chernihiv and distributed food to the war-torn areas on behalf of MICTA. And as a consequence, of course, partnership in the areas of humanitarian aid and development assistance gained more importance in MICTA's agenda. MICTA chairmanship. This is a slide showing MICTA chairmanship throughout the years. As I said earlier, MICTA and each year it works under the coordinatorship of a MICTA member country, which is by the principle of rotation. MICTA works nowadays under the chairmanship presidency of Turkey, which we have taken over from Australia last March, and we will be handing over to Indonesia next year in March as well. Next slide. Now, if I may, I want to give some information regarding our chairmanship for this year. And as I mentioned earlier, MICTA is flexible and efficient enough to adapt to the changing realities of our time, of the world. And so the priorities of MICTA change as well in line with this. So therefore, as chair for 2022, we aim at finding common grounds for particularly to overcome the challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and to contribute to a better global governance. Building, of course, on the 7 core priority, we aim at contributing to maximize MICTA's ability to achieve concrete results through the following designated annual priorities that reflect topical and emerging challenges, as you can see on the right-hand side of the slide. So these 3 main areas of related by global health, effective migration management, and food security. For the sake of course, saving time, I'm not going to go into the details of these priority areas because these are all well known to each other. And we will also be, I think we already did it, handed out our concept paper for our chairmanship, where you can find the main priority areas. So I will skip this section. Next slide, please. MICTA activities. As reflected on the slide, there are various activities that are held throughout the year under the coordination of the chair country. Under our chairmanship for 2022, we organized up to now 2 foreign ministerial meetings so far. First, a meeting in July this year at the G20 foreign ministers meeting in Bali, Indonesia. The second one was the traditional foreign ministerial meeting during the 77th UN General Assembly High-Level Week in New York. And the third one, we will organize it as the end of term foreign ministerial in March next year, either in Istanbul or Antalya. Just like this event today, here, of course, there are also various activities, around 28, done by the foreign diplomatic missions of respective MICTA members all around the world. Maybe we can show that as well. Yeah. So these are the MICTA activities organized by the overseas missions on different topics, different locations, and dates, 28 of them. And of course, as the present MICTA chairman, we also organized 19 activities now through our activities. Next slide, please. New initiatives within MICTA, and its future. South Korea has prepared a draft initiative paper called MICTA 2.0. Ambassador, I don't know, maybe you would like to give some information on that during your intervention. So therefore, I will also skip this. And, you know, Turkey maintains its view that MICTA is now mature enough to make a step forward. And this idea, meeting at the level of presidents, leaders, was verbalized by my country during the 11th MICTA foreign ministers meeting in Istanbul. Then Korea proposed this initiative, a detailed initiative. And of course, since the very beginning, we were in support of this initiative. Therefore, we proposed some time ago to organize the first MICTA leaders informal gathering at the G20 Bali summit, which really took place yesterday. And our leaders came together for the first time. This was an informal gathering, of course, of MICTA leaders, but this has been on our agenda for some time. So here is the leaders. So it's a big important achievement for all of us to have this high-level meeting, the meeting at the highest level. Of course, having raised to this level, the leaders level, will definitely increase our influence and our international visibility by conveying our shared views and positions on regional and global issues at the level of our leaders. So we also had a MICTA Plus format during the 22nd MICTA Ministers meeting that took place on the margins of the 77th UN General Assembly High-Level Week. Foreign Minister of Poland, Mr. Rao, attended that MICTA Plus meeting in New York. Also, the Foreign Minister of Canada, Ms. Jolie, was invited to that meeting, but unfortunately, she was not able to participate. So also this MICTA Plus is an important step for MICTA's future interactions and dialogues with third countries, or more, let me say. So MICTA's gradual yet firm steps, I should say, to deliver concrete projects show that it will continue to make remarkable contributions to overcome global challenges with its unique and different way of working and structure. MICTA is an innovative partnership for all of us that is dynamic and open to contemporary changes. We believe that MICTA will transform itself and adapt itself to the global challenges and novelties. Therefore, in the years to come, MICTA might consider accepting some other new members into the group as well. So this is a matter for discussion, of course. Poland wanted to become a member of MICTA, but all of our countries found it a bit early to discuss this at this stage. But in the years to come, I think we will be able to do that. So thank you very much. I will stop here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Professor Pai, for your exposition. It's very instructive, and we'll learn a lot about MICTA. And if I may, I'm going to use the floor following the initials of MICTA, if you all agree with the ambassadors. So, our dear ambassador of Mexico, first posting as a young diplomat. So, Ambassador Peter Rothbach, go with yours.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much to our friends. There was a little misunderstanding what the language we use to make our presentations, and I was informed that we would in Spanish, and then today I knew it was going to be in English, so I absolutely apologize for not being as prepared as it should have been already in English, but I will nevertheless try to do it in English in order to follow. I guess at least most should have among us. Good afternoon, my friends. I would like to start my intervention by conveying my deepest condolences to the people and government of Turkey for the human losses and damages registered during the attack in Istanbul on November 13th. We send our solidarity to the mourning relatives and the friends of the victims, and we wish a speedy recovery to those who were injured. Likewise, we condemn any act of violence. Having said this, I appreciate the invitation of my friend, Jose Octavio Morón, President of the Argentina Council of International Relations, to participate in this panel on MICTA. I am very ashamed because every time I have been invited, it's the third one. Something happens that I cannot come. I broke my hip. I got pneumonia. Finally, I made it, even that it had to, I even had to change the language. But still, I am very honored to be here and thank you so very much to all of you. Mr. Vice President, my good friend, Senator Fraga, I don't know if he left, but he's a late acquaintance I did have, thanks to my friend Patricia Bulgeroni, has been so very kind to bring us together. And I hope we can make a good team in order to work together towards our, I would say, our same goal to achieve peace and understanding. I warmly greet my dear colleagues and friends, the ambassadors of Indonesia, South Korea, Turkey, and Australia. It is an honor to share this panel with you, my friends. As you might know, 9 years ago, the MICTA group was created as an informal space for dialogue and understanding among our countries. And in an international context that seemed increasingly complex and in which there was an urgent need for creative and innovative solutions to the global challenges. Solutions that could be developed by countries from different cultures and regions, but that shared values and similarities, such as respect for democracy, to international laws, to multilateralism, and international cooperation. Since the group inception, Mexico has been in MICTA, a relevant forum project, its interests and foreign policy objectives outside the Latin American sphere, and strengthen its international presence and interact with non-traditional partners. Can you imagine? Partners. Throughout these years, Mexico's participation in the group has been supported by 3 pillars. One, strengthened bilateral relations, particularly political dialogue and economic exchanges between member states. 2, promote international cooperation. 3, carry out consultations on global issues from an interest including in multilateral forums such as the UN and the G20 to promote governance, better governance actually. At the first meeting of MICTA, Ministers of Foreign Affairs held in New York on September 25th, 2013. Little did we know that in a span of a decade, we would face multiple simultaneous crises. A terrible pandemic that would paralyze the world economy, followed by slow recovery that was delayed by the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. While increasingly serious effects of climate change would force every country to take more drastic measures to reduce emissions to adapt and mitigate its effects. What happened in almost 10 years, our countries decided to form this group, shows that our leaders that had the vision, the strategic vision and political will to take on the challenge of playing on new geopolitical boards with like-minded countries that were characterized as emerging economies and new powers. That decision turned out to be very wise. MICTA's role in the international community is more relevant than ever, as it has been demonstrated by the presence and growing influence of our countries in the most relevant initiatives in the multilateral arena, from promoting universal and equitable access to vaccines to searching answers for the food crisis. Today, the world is threatened by polarization. The conflict unleashed by Russia in Ukraine has slowed down the post-pandemic recovery. This war has had negative effects in food and energy security and has clearly impacted the progress of the development agenda and international commitments on energy transition and climate change. Developing countries have been severely affected by this crisis, increasing the vulnerability for many people. Under these circumstances, in March of this year, Turkey took over the annual coordination of MICTA. Under its leadership, we continue strengthening the bilateral relations and the political dialogue phase of the major challenges and promoting joint cooperation projects. As member of the UN Security Council, Mexico has condemned the Russian invasion and at the same time is quite concerned by the negative impact of unilateral sanctions in our economies. That is why we have refrained from implementing unilateral punitive measures or coercive against Russia. Therefore, we especially recognize Turkey as a mediating country in the conflict in Ukraine. The leadership shown by President Erdogan, it is a very positive contribution to the resolution of this causal conflict in dialogue and political negotiation. In this conflict, as in other problems of international order, MICTA must play its role strongly as a bridge builder to reach consensus in multilateral forums, particularly in the G20, which just happens in your beautiful country. This is why we recognize that this Monday our representatives met in the framework of the G20 leaders meeting, which was brilliantly organized by Indonesia under very difficult circumstances. All MICTA members participate in G20, and we also share this forum with Argentina. So it is not surprising that we have going to be decisions on several of the issues discussed there. Being our country's protagonists of the international scene, we need to strengthen our role as promoters of diplomacy and as enablers of global governance through international cooperation and solidarity in order to build an international system based on fair rules. Mexico will continue to promote collaboration with MICTA members in multilateral forums and on issues of common interest such as economic recovery and the eradication of poverty, food safety, health, international migration, gender equity, disaster prevention, and humanitarian assistance. On all these priority issues, Mexico has a Latin American perspective to share to this group. It is not surprising that on many of these topics, Mexico has worked with Argentina to forge joint visions and propose shared solutions in various forums and regional organizations, such as the FLAC and CELAC, to name a few examples. Last week, the 15th Regional Conference on Women in Latin America and the Caribbean, organized by FLAC, took place in Buenos Aires under the theme, The Care Society, a Horizon for Sustainable Recovery with Gender Equality. The participants in this conference highlighted the urgency of a transformation of the development model towards a care society, which the interdependence between people and between productive processes are recognized, as well as a society that places the sustainability of human life and the well-being of the planet at the center of development through the diversification of production and a fiscal policy with a gender perspective. I firmly believe the results of which Mexico and Argentina worked side by side are of interest and can be of great support for our partners from Indonesia, Australia, Korea, and Turkey. and this vision that Mexico can bring to our group, and it is certainly something that Argentina can observe. We believe in the invaluable contribution of MICTA to strengthen multilateralism. Therefore, the government of Mexico has expressed its unwavering commitment to continue our collaboration in multilateral forums. We recognize that the role of MICTA, the international community, is greater than the sum of its members. Therefore, we keep working together on issues of common concerns, such as the increase in armed conflicts and its humanitarian impact on civilian population, but particularly girls, boys, and women with disabilities and refugees, among other vulnerable groups. At the same time, Mexico has been very specific concern and has decided to attack frontally from multiple forums. I refer to the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons, as well as their accumulation and distribution in different parts of the world. The phenomenon severely affects the civilian population, destroys the social fabric, and promotes violence, and particularly among the most vulnerable groups. By contrast, the companies that produce and distribute these weapons with irresponsible practices maintain abundant and growing use. This issue is an example of what in Mexico we can and want to discuss between friendly countries to get better results. Faced with global problems, regional situations, and the specific concerns of each of our countries, we need to encourage a pragmatic approach to promote cooperation between MICTA members and contribute to the solution of multiple crises we face, joining efforts to promote shared values on which we base our group membership. Thank you very much for your attention, and I love it.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And, thank you for your references to our joint work in Mexico and Argentina. We hope to go on. Next, my dear friend, Ambassador Iñigo Kunayati Zizulio. Please, what is yours? Good afternoon. Very happy and I'm honored to be here again. My first time in currently starting 2015. And now again, almost at the end of my tenure in Argentina, I have the opportunity again to share with you about MICTA. First of all, I would like to thank President Kari for this seminar. I believe it's the first time of complete ambassadors here. Let me emphasize some that already mentioned by my colleague, Ambassador Kulta and Lily. About MICTA. Maybe you have in mind why we start joining MICTA. Why is it important, MICTA, for India? I would like to answer that question by saying that there are two key words that we should know about MICTA. First, MICTA is an informal platform. Okay, and second one, MICTA members are middle power economy. As an informal platform, MICTA provides and serve the right approach to give room for flexibility and no restriction in discussing various regional and global issues. So this is serve Indonesia foreign policy to be the agenda setter, global agenda setter, bridge builders, and catalysts in addressing various regional and global issues. Within the MICTA platform, we are able to discuss with our counterpart that freely, and you see from the result of the G20 situation right now, like Ambassador already mentioned, is multifaceted demand crisis. Since the beginning, we are, I can say that we are forced, and we are feel that anybody will say that will be failed. G20 summit will be failed because no one will be coming. Because maybe some country will boycott not coming. But since the beginning, we work with all the platforms we have, including MICTA, using this informal platform to get help from them. In the UNGA meeting, September 77 UNGA meeting, the foreign minister, the southern diplomacy, make a discussion with the MICTA foreign minister, and you see the composition of MICTA. We have Australia and South Korea. They are very close to the Western Hemisphere, and we have Mexico, very close to the Southern Hemisphere. Also, Turkey has a very powerful role in the Middle East and also in the Ukraine and Russia war. So we use this platform to gain support to spread the importance of G20 as an economic forum. So also to set a global policy program serve as a global policy program. So this informal platform has served well to Indonesia foreign policy through MICTA, even though it is not organization, but because of its character, we are able to have more friends, more helping hands. The second word is also important as a keyword is middle power economy. The member of MICTA are all middle power economy. You see the priority and the theme of the G20 presidency and the Indonesia presidency are recover together, recover stronger. So MICTA as the middle power economy try to convey this message to all the G20 members that if we come together, especially the middle power economy, we can help also not only the middle power economy, but also the underprivileged, underdeveloped countries. So also MICTA serve well to promote itself into the global arena because we are middle power economy. They have to, the different countries have to count on us too, because we can serve the purpose of peace and prosperity in the global arena. And this intervention of Indonesia in the MICTA has served well, as I mentioned before, not only in the G20, but also in the various issues. I believe in various representatives of MICTA embassy all around the world. This is also served as a catalyst and bonding of the ambassadors of MICTA members countries in various countries, in various in the world. I mean. So we can have a good diplomacy. We can share our problem. We can share our knowledge, our opinion, everything, especially if we deal with, for instance, in Argentina, we can gather together our opinion how we solve the problem with trade in Argentina, exchange of views. So MICTA is a very important platform because it's not only served in the global arena, but in the micro, small representative like us, ambassadors of MICTA also can play a role. What is the priority of Indonesia chairmanship 2023? As I mentioned before, Indonesia chairmanship comes in a time when international community deals with economic downturn, multilateralism crisis, and digital disruption. Ambassador Lydia already mentioned regarding the effect of war and pandemic in our economy, and also the war in Russia has worsened the situation. 1 million of refugees and displaced persons occurred not only in Ukraine but also flooding to neighboring country like Colombia. And also the war has caused inflation in many countries, including in Argentina, deteriorating energy security and food, disrupting supplies of some commodity, as well as consequences from economic sanctions. So the pandemic also has caused the debt balance for many countries to swell, while at the same time stagnation of supply flows, macroeconomic dynamics, and energy transition as series of global efforts to tackle climate change has also made commodity price volatility more difficult to manage. I just, maybe you heard from the G20 just recently launched what we call it pandemic fund. During the Bali summit, it was declared that G20 has a pandemic fund amounted to $1.4 billion. This fund will be used to help the most vulnerable countries that are not able to access the vaccine and or medical devices needed for pandemic, of course, to avoid a new pandemic in the future. So, in this situation, we should work together. And in a time that multilateralism facing a crisis, we should come together hand in hand to strengthen multilateralism. Because only through multilateralism, we can come together and again express our opinion and for our demand, for instance, in the Ukraine war and the war in the Ukraine. You all know that the crisis of multilateralism has grown serious and probably even more serious compared to the end of the Cold War era. The Russia-Ukraine war is a testament to the current geopolitical dynamics and how the international community responds. My president, at the end of the G20 summit, mentioned one sentence: stop war. This is not the time to have war. This is also strengthened by the next chair of the G20 of India. In this century, war is not the word that we can avoid. So multilateralism is the way to avoid war. Instead of ending hostility, building mutual trust, develop inclusive collaboration, and other proactive measures, several countries nowadays trapped in unilateral exclusion is potentially narrowing dialogue channel and triggering escalation conflicts of interest. So here comes the important informal platform MICTA. How important it is to bridge the differences between countries. Indonesia will also focus on digital disruption under its presidency. You know that the global community will still face challenges, digital disruption, probably in a broader dimension. To cope with it, we will require digital literacy, cultivating opportunities, development of digital resilience and responsiveness. As you are well aware, Indonesia will soon reach demographic peak in 2030, where the population of productive age is more than the non-productive age. Attention to the issue of digital disruption during MICTA presidency is therefore very relevant. So, 3 priorities that Indonesia is going to focus on during our chairmanship 2023: strengthening multilateralism, inclusive recovery, and digital transformation. Inclusive recovery means no one left behind. Pandemic and war worsen the economic condition not only developed countries but also developing countries. Digital transformation is very important. We will need to set priority issues. As I mentioned before, digital literacy and opportunity, development of digital creativity, development of digital resilience and responsiveness. Because digitalization can help accelerate economic recovery and build strong cooperation in response to global challenges. I just want to add one more important thing that resulted from the G20 summit just recently. The B20. This is important also under the G20 core activities, Business 20. Under the B20, we already issued what we call it empowering women entrepreneurs by enabling women's digital and leadership capabilities, promoting safe and equitable workplaces. We developed what we call One Global Women Empowerment Platform. It is a global network that connects relevant stakeholders and help to scale and accelerate existing networks and initiate an initiative that promote the impactful inclusion of women and women-led business in the global economy. This is not only under the Indonesia presidency, but will be carried over by the summit. Thank you. I hope my additional information regarding MICTA helping all of you understanding about MICTA. Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. And now going through MICTA, we have the word of Ambassador of the Republic.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for Kari for organizing this important, useful program for about MICTA. And also, I'd like to appreciate very much the expeditional ambassador of Turkey, Mexico, Indonesia, for the explanation and the insight they gave us to us. So I really appreciate it and thank you very much. I had the honor to participate in the first MICTA Foreign Ministers meeting in 2013 in New York as a chairman of Latin American affairs of the Council of the Korean Foreign Ministry. At that time, MICTA was not an official name. So we are discussing MICTA, Tari, Bhakti, Intra, many names on voting. So finally, we decided that MICTA might be the most reasonable name of the grouping. So that is how the name MICTA came. And I don't like to extend the explanation which the other investors already explained very well. For me, what kind of relationship we has with Korea? Naturally, we are facing the North Korean issue. So during the MICTA history, there has been many declarations of the MICTA expressing strong opposition to the nuclear test of the North Korea. But that has been important for Korea. And also during the 2020, when Korea was the president of the MICTA, we were because of during the pandemic era, so our efforts have been focused on COVID-19. Our response, how we can respond better to the pandemic of this kind. So that was the focus of the Korean leadership during the 2020 during our presidency. I do not want to prolong all the explanation. But before coming here, I was thinking about what MICTA, what kind of reference can MICTA have on Argentina? Because I think the most important thing is to find out so-called like-minded countries of Argentina. Because our MICTA 5 members countries, although far away geographically, share the values of democracy and open economy. So it is very important that Argentina also find good friends sharing these important values around the world. And second point might be finding out the issues of the global importance, which is also important to Argentina. I can think of the various themes of which Argentina is important. Argentina can play an important role, compared renewable energy or green hydrogen, lithium, food security, and also production chain. I mean, there are many issues where Argentina can lead in the international community for the benefit of every member of the country, every member of the international community. So these are, in addition to all the good things MICTA has played so far, I think what Argentina could do, looking at MICTA in the future, might be the most important, might be most important aspect of this seminar. Thank you very much.
Very substantial. Thank you for suggestions to Argentina. So now, Ambassador from Australia.
Thank you. Yes, this will be even shorter. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate the Ambassador of Turkey for this initiative. It's, as he reminded me earlier, it was overdue, particularly given Australia was the chair last year. I'd also like to thank Kari for your ongoing support for the diplomatic community. You continue to support us and give us a forum to discuss relevant international issues. I'm very grateful for that. One of the benefits of going last is, I guess I can just say I agree. We honestly did not compare notes, but I'm struck by the remarks of my friends and colleagues and how similar they were to the notes that I'd prepared before I came here. It's very clear that from very modest beginnings as a group of G20 countries with shared interests, who perhaps weren't being invited to other meetings, MICTA has emerged as a group of real substance. It's, as my colleagues have said, we share values. We're democratic, we're constructive and influential countries within our own regions and beyond. We are staunch supporters of multilateralism, and we are willing and able to work with anybody or any grouping of countries for mutual benefit. I'd like to congratulate Turkey for an outstanding year as chair of MICTA, and certainly be remiss if I did not congratulate Indonesia as chair of G20 this year. I wonder if any other country would have indeed been able to deliver, and years and the emphasis that the importance of collective solutions to global challenges. It's never been more pressing, but unfortunately, I suspect it will continue into 2023. As my colleagues have also said, MICTA is one of the real strengths of MICTA is its flexibility. It's an informal group, it's not institutionalized, and it draws strength from our diversity. We don't always agree on things. We don't always we have different national interests. We have different nuances in our approach to international situations, but surely we derive strength from the fact that friends disagree sometimes. It can lead to robust decisions and discussions and well-considered decisions. And I think certainly it's a strength that is perhaps not evident in some other regional international groupings. I think one of I don't want to go too deeply into our priorities because, of course, they're shared priorities with the group. But one of the program has been particularly focused on enhancing social protection and the important role that MICTA can play in doing that. It's certainly one of the main lessons that we've learned from the pandemic is the critical importance of social protection systems in place to defend the most vulnerable in our communities. An excellent example of this, and Ambassador Turkey mentioned already, was Turkey's support for providing meals to Ukrainians in need. We in Australia are focused on the provision of support for our most vulnerable, including First Nations people, women, people living with disabilities, and other marginalised groups who could be significantly impacted by food and health insecurity. You know, we're working very hard in the Pacific to strengthen social protection programs, and I'm sure each of the ambassadors here tonight would be able to share similar stories about the work that they're doing in their own regions. You know, from an Australian perspective, obviously the big challenge confronting us all, I think, is food security. This is a real opportunity for Argentina to work with the countries of MICTA, because Argentina is certainly going to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, in terms of addressing global food insecurity. Again, recognising Turkey for brokering Black Sea grain initiative, of course, had the immediate effect of stabilising grain prices. So just to wrap it up, I think it's terrific to be a member of a diverse group that continues to work collaboratively and cohesively at a national and international level. And it's certainly a group that, as seen from Australia, has its best days ahead of it rather than behind. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Just to say a few words before our president, Biden works for this meeting. That given the global disruption that we are living today, so many challenges, national food security, to humanitarian solution, migration. It's very encouraging to see how a group of nations, of countries, so in some different locations in the world, some distant countries, come together and work for as a bridge, as you say, but I would say that more than a bridge, fundamental stone inspires the new order, the new international order that we also. So thank you from Argentina and for the country for your work. This very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. I will change some aspects of the organization. I want to have 1 or 2 words from our Vice President and our General Secretary Lagorio, please.
No, I just to congratulate you for your words. I think one key aspect is multilateralism, as you mentioned. I think Argentina has many interests common with MICTA. And as Rosendo mentioned, often we don't pay enough attention. I think this is a key group. And in future months, when one of the actions from Cali that we will continue is to put more attention in the work we are doing, especially from the perspective of Argentina. We have a lot to learn and to think about our future. I give the word to Ricardo.
Paso Lagorio.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, just a very personal comment. The current government has applied to be part of the BRICS, so unfortunately, the discussion regarding the MICTA has become an abstract one for them personally. Second, looking into the future, I think it's very important what you're doing, because the golden rule of diplomacy is to talk, to negotiate, and to agree and to disagree. Consensus sometimes is the synonym of inaction. So I think that as long as partners as you are still there, we can give a chance to multilateralism, which is what we need looking to the future. And final comment, I was very positively impressed because your agenda is a soft power agenda in an era of war, destruction, and hard power, which leads us nowhere. Thank you very much.
My final word. Say again that it was a great honor for us to host all of you today. As my friends of Cali said, it is very important, the dialogue, looking to the challenge of the 21st century. And inequality, the reasons of war, environment, and so on. We need to have, in spite of the difference of the different regimes and the different regions, we need to have some great coalition to protect the planet, the common home of all of us. For the reason, we share the values and the style that you showed today. Our doors and our minds are very open to continue with all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a very important moment for us. Thank you.